Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. I'm your host, back there to another video, and today we are going to be continuing the Naruto Familiar of Zero crossover story as we continue into Naruto House of Uzumaki, based off of the series Naruto Tale of Two Sages, What If Naruto Was Louise's Familiar, the Academy arc, Part 2. Now, again, as we go into the Boruto portion of the Naruto story, we're going to be taking things in a bit of a different way. Instead of trying to speed through all of the content, we're going to be covering everything in terms of sagas. So you could say that this is the Momoshiki saga with different arcs within the saga, culminating in the Momoshiki arc. That'll pretty much put an end to this saga as a whole. But for now, we're starting in the beginning with the Academy saga. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with what this series is based on, then please check out the original portion of our story with What If Naruto Was Louise's Familiar, so that you can get the full detailed story before you go into the second portion, which is this. Now, we are continuing in the Academy arc, and we're just starting out in the beginning, fleshing out this new world that is inhabited by our characters. A world where two different worlds altogether interact, and Naruto tries to keep the balance between them. This is a story that it's not just focused on Boruto, but we're focusing on an entirely new generation, with a new cast of characters put into a different light, if you will. And I think you'll definitely see that when we go into part 2 and we see more about how this new world is being set up. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. As always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. There was a big buzz around the Ninja Academy of Konoha. A new school year was beginning, and an interesting group of prospects were now being brought together. This, you could say, was the culmination of years of politics, of negotiations, and now a new institution was finally going to be put into motion. A new institution that could potentially change the way of the ninja world altogether. Of course, this was very ambitious. Something that you could truly say had never been attempted before. The Uzumaki children found themselves making their way to the classroom. Boruto, along with his other 5 siblings, Charlotte, Mordecai, Lloyd, Olivia, and Iris. Boruto enjoyed the company of his siblings. They didn't always get to spend a lot of time together since, well, a few of them, almost all of them, lived in another world, separated by a different dimension. The only way to get there was whenever Boruto was traveling with his father, or if they ever came to his world. It was truly a blast to have all of them together. And now the 6 oldest Uzumakis were now beginning their path down the shinobi studies. But this ninja class was going to be different. As they made their way into the room, the class grew deathly silent. One girl with spectacular glasses would look up from her book, sitting beside a rather big-boned girl, along with another who was chewing on bubblegum while flipping a kunai in her fingertips. The 3 girls were none other than Sarada Uchiha, Chocho Akamichi, and Momo Hyuga. That's right. In this world, Neji didn't die. And now I can happily say that a character who I've been wanting to bring for a while now also gets to make her debut in this series as well. The daughter of Neji and Tenten Hyuga, Momo Hyuga. The 3 girls looked at the Uzumaki 6 as they walked in. You could say that they were the social pariahs of Konoha, potentially even the shinobi world. The idea of the Hokage having multiple wives, Sure, to anyone else, it would seem as though the Hokage was nothing but a lecherous man who couldn't stick to having one woman. But in the world of Naruto, the idea of having multiple wives was not an uncommon practice. Granted, it was a practice that had gone out of style many years ago, and it wasn't commonly done today, but people could recognize that Naruto was the exception. It wasn't like Naruto was married to just anyone. All of Naruto's wives had, in a way, a special role about them that made them different from any other girl. First, when it came to his wife from his own world, Hinata Hyuga was basically a princess in her own right. She was referred to as the princess of the Hyuga clan, being one of the most prominent and most prestigious clans in Konoha, and being from the main branch, the eldest daughter. So it was only natural that having a marriage with her could only add or strengthen the ties of the Hyuga to the overall Leaf Village. Then there was his other wife, Louise, who came from a noble bloodline that had close ties to the royal family. And speaking of royal families, there was also Tabitha as well as Henrietta, who were both the queens of their own countries. And a marriage of this magnitude only served to strengthen those bonds. Along with Tiffania, who had royal blood in her veins and the blood of the elf people, along with having connections to Henrietta and to the throne of Tristan, then you only strengthen that bond as well. And then there was also the likes of Siesta. While she didn't come from noble blood, she was still a descendant of the Uchiha clan, one of the last few remaining of the Uchiha. And as such, any marriage with a descendant of the Uchiha was going to have a positive outlook, regardless. So you could say that Naruto was ultimately the exception to the rule. Of course, for Naruto, none of this political mumbo-jumbo truly mattered. He loved each one of his wives dearly, and he loved his family. But still, the gravity of the situation couldn't be lost. As all of the students took their seats, Boruto would find himself sitting next to Shikadai and Inojin. Shikadai, surprised to see that Boruto's siblings had actually showed up. Man, Boruto, you definitely have a big family, don't you? Yeah, you could say that again. My old man just didn't know when to quit, I guess. You got that right. It's like you all just multiplied like his shadow clones. Everyone would grow quiet as their teacher would take center stage of the classroom. Although his face was rather hard to see, between the coat that covered his face and the hoodie that he was wearing as well. On top of that, he was wearing sunglasses indoors, and he had his Konoha headband protector on. But all the same, it did make him look kind of cool, although also completely mysterious, and no one knew anything about him. There was a particular sigh in the classroom from one girl when she saw who was standing before them all. Really, Uncle Shino? You just had to come in here dressed like a complete mystery? You could at least show your face. I like the way I'm dressed. And please, when we're in the classroom, it's sensei. Uncle? Everyone turned to the girl in question. However, their eyes quickly fell back to the one standing in the center of the room. It's good to see you all. My name is Shino Aburame, or Aburame Sensei. I am going to be your instructor for the year. As you all know, when you first started in your roles of becoming a ninja, there were many different career paths that you could go down. No doubt, many of you will have known that in the era that we currently live in, shinobi work isn't in as high of a demand as it used to be. Originally, when you started in the academy, there was at least over 200 of you at the start, and now the number has whittled down all the way to 19. You could say that you are the final group in this year's crop of potential shinobis. But even still, do not feel that the shinobi path is the only path you have to walk down, as I'm sure a lot of you will have different options in your careers and in whatever personal interests you want to pursue. We are merely here to give you the options and the experience and choices that you need. But first, let's begin with roll call. One by one, Shino would go through the list as all of the students made themselves available. Boruto Uzumaki, Charlotte Uzumaki, Mordecai Uzumaki, Lloyd Uzumaki, Olivia Uzumaki, Iris Uzumaki, Sarada Uchiha, Momo Hyuga, Shikadai Nara, Inojin Yamanaka, Chocho Akamichi, Iwabe Ueno, Dinky Kaminoriman, Hoki Takatori, Wasabi Inuzuno, Sumire Kake, Sayu Abarame, Ringa Kokubo, Hako Kuro, Mel Lee. Hadn't yet arrived to the village, but he would soon. And whoever else as the class continued to expand, not only having its shinobi program for those in the Hidden Leaf, but also extending opportunities to those who lived in some of the smaller nations as well. Of course, it wasn't required, and ultimately whether they wanted to be shinobi in Konoha or back in their own village would ultimately be up to them, but still the offer still stood. For now, they had 18 students. The 19th would arrive soon enough. As Shino overwent the study plans for everyone, he also introduced someone else that would be helping. Someone that the Uzumakis were very familiar with. The kids recognized the familiar shaved head and round glasses, along with the blue robes and the wooden staff being carried. It was none other than Jean Colbert, a former teacher at the Tristan Magic Academy. They were surprised to see that he was here, along with Agnes, a former member of the Royal Guard Protection Squad. "Mr. Colbert!" Charlotte would exclaim with glee. Someone from her home. Someone she had known since she was a little girl growing up. She was so happy to see yet another familiar face, and even Agnes as well, as she smiled at the kids. This is none other than Mr. Jean Colbert. You may not know him, all of you, but he actually is a teacher of an academy from another world, a world where many of Lord Seven's wives reside. They specialize in a different form of power, a different form of technique that they refer to as magic. You could say that it's something similar to that of ninjutsu, but it's also something entirely different. The reason why your class is special, Shino would explain, is because Lord Hokage has put it into writing that your class will be the first ever Ninja Magi initiative. You will be the first class, so to speak, a class of ninja skilled in both ninjutsu as well as magic. This is actually a pretty big opportunity, mainly because under normal circumstances, something like this could never happen. However, this is an opportunity to have people explore different avenues, to see what the merger of ninjutsu and magic could possibly yield. And we believe that your class in particular could produce some of the most powerful results. No offense, Inojin would chime in, but is this just being done because we have the Uzumakis here? Shikadai would look at his friend. Even though they were close, the boy had a tendency to just blurt out the truth, and there were some times when you just had to play it cool. Come on, Inojin. What? I'm just saying. I mean, it's almost as if the Uzumakis are being given special privilege. How is it special privilege if we're all being given the opportunity? Sarada would say. Well, I'm just saying, ever since our alliance with the countries of Tristan and Gallia, this initiative was never put into practice before. But now, when you have the children of the Hokage going through the academy, now they have the open resources to do so. I mean, I'm grateful for the opportunity, but I'm just saying, kind of seems a bit, a little iffy. Of course, even if that was a rather crude way of putting it, ultimately, there was some truth and merit. Mordecai simply rolled his eyes, being completely annoyed with Inojin. Of course, Boruto's siblings didn't know much about the children of Konoha. They had their visits here and there. In fact, they even had visits from Sarada and Momo especially, since Momo technically was the family, at least through Boruto's side, and Sarada, she was basically family due to the relationship between Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. But even still, Mordecai didn't really care what any of them thought or what they had to say. I don't think it really makes a difference, Inojin, Mordecai would chime in. As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't really matter. We're all striving towards the same goal here. I think that's what's most important. Yeah, right. They all turned as they saw the older of them standing in the background. A boy with a red beanie and a long sleeveless trench coat. He carried a staff on his back and he looked all annoyed with everyone here. Maybe this time I'll finally be able to put my skills to use. Iwabe, it's good to see that you're actually with the class this time. Not like I had much of a choice, although I've got better things to do than listen to the spoiled Hokage brats go on and on. It'd be a lot easier if they just went back to their little prep school. They have no business being around here. Boruto, Charlotte, and all of the other Uzumakis would look especially annoyed. You got a problem with us? Olivia would ask. You think? I got a major one. You're all doing nothing but taking up space. A whole bunch of spoiled little rich kids riding the Hokage's coattails. Or in this case, your mommies. Take away Hokage, take away being royalty, you guys wouldn't really be anything all that special. Everything I've ever had to do, I've had to scratch and claw. And there ain't no way I'm gonna fall behind to any of you. You got that? Everyone would look at him annoyed. However, before he had a chance to react, Agnes would smile. I like this one. Agnes, please don't antagonize him, Colbert would say. No, I'm not doing anything like that. Actually, I'm quite intrigued. Come up here, boy. I want to know more about you. Iwabe would walk up to the front of the classroom smug, feeling as though he was finally being recognized. What do you want to know? Well, you seem to be the real tough one of the class. I gotta say, I have a thing for boys who are tough, affirmative, and know how to take action. And I especially like guys that don't take lip from anyone. That earns my respect. Well, it's about time someone recognized. I don't know anything about ninjutsu or whatever it is you guys do. I'm completely lost. You see, all I have is this sword. So why don't you show me what you can do? Are you sure about that? I mean, I don't want to harm you or anything, but if you can't use ninjutsu, then I don't think that you're going to stand much of a chance. Well, then maybe you can enlighten me, because you see, I don't use magic either. Are you kidding? You don't use ninjutsu or that magic-y stuff? So what, you're just ordinary? Sensei, this has to be some type of joke. If I even use a fraction of my strength, I'm gonna end up... Before Iwabe could even finish his sentence, He found a knee strike straight to his gut, forcing him to go off the ground before being grabbed and slammed. Iwabe reached for his staff, but Agnes stepped and crushed his hand into the floor. If she had used any pressure, she could have broke it. Before he could use his other hand, she also had that pinned to the ground with her other foot, her blade drawn and already towards his neck. I know enough. You have to use those hands of yours, making those little hand sign thingies, and then that's how you activate your power. I do pay attention. What the? You should never underestimate your opponent, kid. If I wanted to right now, you'd be dead, and that little ninjutsu of yours would be absolutely worthless. Agnes then looked to the whole classroom. Listen up, all of you. The only reason why I'm here is to assist in your training. And what I'm going to be doing is making sure that all of you have what it takes to survive. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not dealing with any lip from any of you. If you think that your little magic or your little ninjutsu is going to be enough to save you, you are surely mistaken. You come in here with a half-cocked attitude and a fully inflated ego, and I'll make sure that I cut it down. Yes, I think the boy understands, Agnes. You can let him go now, please, Mr. Colbert would say with a genuine expression. Agnes would draw her sword back into place and allow the boy to go back to his seat, although now his ego had been more bruised than it ever was before. As Shino would continue, you see, the reason for this merger is because we want you students to truly reach a new level of power, something never before seen. That's why, in your final part of your ninja studies, you're not just going to be studying here in Konoha. You'll be spending half of your time here training in the art of ninjutsu, and your other half of the time, you're going to be training in another world. The Academy of Tristan is going to be welcoming all of you into its Magic Arts 101. That way, we're going to see just how the two powers can be blended and seeing what could yield from this level of training. But that's not all. We're also going to be initiating a new program. That's going to be the First Class Ninja System. The First Class Ninja System? Boruto would say. And just what on earth is that? Well, in traditional sense, we would normally place you all on three-man teams at the end of your days here. That's usually been how it's been structured ever since the beginning of the Academy's inception. However, recent events, along with our past, we've decided to come up with a new system. You see, we've come to the realization that it's impractical to think that you can just be on one team all the time. That is until you move up in rank or when things change. Being a shinobi, it means that you'll be sent on missions with different people. Sometimes because you all develop different skills and they might be suited in better combinations than others. That's why, at the end, instead of breaking you up into three-man teams, instead you're going to be on a call of retention. Everyone would be confused by this, but Shino would explain, and I'll explain to you all here. Basically, Boruto's ninja class is going to remain one class, one ninja roster, with a select group of jonin that will watch over this roster. And depending on what missions come in, the proper genin will be put into three-man teams and will be led by the jonin most suited to lead the mission. The best way to describe it is like this. If a mission comes that requires the skills, say, of Boruto, Shikadai, and Sarada, then that team will be put together, and the best suited Jonin to lead them, whether it be Konohamaru or Hanabi or Moegi, will be the assigned leader of that team and will lead them on their mission. It means that even after graduation, the group will still continue to grow, learn, and train together, and when missions come up, the proper combination of shinobi will be sent on that mission. This is made as an initiative to truly get the best out of their skills, mainly because Naruto is learning from past experience, and it's something that was brought up to him. The worst thing that could happen is that you're a ninja team and you're put on a mission that you ultimately weren't prepared for. There's no telling what trouble could come from that sort of environment. So that's why it's the idea of making the best suited teams for the best suited missions, and you carry on from there. Of course, they'll still continue their own training with various Jonin senseis, and their overall teamwork will improve because instead of working with just one person, you'll get to see different combinations and different uses of overall skill. That would be the main focus of the initiative. All of the students would be excited, as now they would step into their roles as shinobi. The next phase of their life was about to begin. New struggles and challenges were going to come along the way, but these challenges were welcomed. For our heroes, they were going to be stepping into a world far different from the one their parents walked down. But no matter what the future had in store, it was one that the children would have to face, knowing that it would soon be on them to lead the next generation. In the midst of the forest, a young man slowly arrives to the gates of Konoha, a white snake on his shoulder, a smile etched across his face. So, I finally arrived. Hey kid, hold on. The Konoha guards would speak to the young boy. He reached into his bag and pulled out his paperwork. Once it was verified, the boy was allowed into the village once his chakra signature had been registered into the system. He took a seat under a tree as the snake began to speak into his ear. I haven't gone yet, and I'm in no rush, but I believe that among this group, I will find the sun to my moon. And I'll meet plenty of powerful people along the way. I wonder if they'll truly live up to my expectations. What do you think, Orochimaru? This concludes Naruto House of Uzumaki. What if Naruto was Louise's familiar? The Academy Arc, Part 2. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. For tonight, I'll leave you with a question that you can answer down in the comment section below. Tell me, what shinobi of the new generation are you looking forward to seeing most as the story progresses? What 3-man team combinations would you like to see play out in the story? And also, what are some ideas that you might have for the kids as they grow in power, learning to use 2 different power systems and combine them together to become a new breed of ninja? For all this and more, stay tuned next week as we continue with part 3. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings, signing off, and I'll see you next time.